Hi everybody, Fiona Pearman and Kate Bora. We're here today, we're going to talk about, are you a yes girl? And I think this comes up because many of us feel that we have to say yes, even when inside we'd like to say no, or we know that we don't actually have capacity to say yes, but it's almost by default, we just say yes without thinking about it.
Yeah, we dig into this a lot in active confidence number 6, setting boundaries and saying no with confidence. I think this is a really important one for us all to really think about, right? All of us have been in those scenarios where we've said yes to something we really wanted to say no to, and then down the track, you've had to make compromises, whether it's, we're challenged around family commitments or means we can't go to the gym, or, we're missing out on other stuff that's really important to us. And so many of us all find ourselves in this scenario or this bind, certainly weekly, if not daily. And our ability to spotlight what's going on, to pay attention. I think a big one here is often we're responding by habit or autopilot, right? We just by default say yes because it can feel too hard or too sticky to say no. And I think the other piece here is to dig into what are the reasons, what are the drivers? Often we say what's going on beneath the surface that means that we don't feel safe enough to say no.
Yeah, I think there's a big piece here around understanding that very much the way women are raised and conditioned, the societal expectations we have is that women are expected to support, we're expected to care, often we're expected to people please, to make other people feel good. And not only that, we often get rewarded and praised for that. So it makes a lot of sense that our default has become, I'm just going to say yes to everything. And as we start to unpack this, it's not that we want to say we're going to start saying no every time. It's just being really conscious around this autopilot, this people pleasing, this saying yes in order to be liked, in order to fit in order to demonstrate loyalty, lots of ways in which this can play out that's actually not super helpful. And as we start to get conscious, we can make different choices.
Yeah, I think it's important to spotlight while we're even talking about this, right? Why is it a problem? It's because we can't do it all, right? And the cost of trying to do it all often means that we end up saying no to ourselves, right? No to self-care strategies, no to spending time with people that are important to us. If we've said yes to work, that means we're saying no to other things. Often that is unconscious, but the friction, the irritation, the frustration, the resentment that can breed by virtue of that is real and has, quite a strong ripple effect in various different parts of our life. So starting to build your awareness around how this is playing out, it sounds really simple. And we know that it's very layered, it's very deep. And when you start to understand what's going on for you, then you can start to do things a little bit differently. You can start to take small acts of confidence or small experiments, and start to challenge some of the beliefs, the assumptions that are going on for you that are often driving the behavior.
Yeah, I think there's some really useful ways we can start to unpack and think about this. And, I absolutely put my hand up. Certainly for the first decade, maybe 12 years of my career, I was a yes girl. I saw it as almost a badge of honor to say yes to everything, whatever came my way. And look, there were definitely some great opportunities. The problem was that I wasn't very discerning. So saying yes to everything meant inevitably I had too many balls to juggle. And of course, I got overwhelmed and almost leading to burnout. So the understanding here of self and what I'm saying yes to and why, and being willing to investigate what's going on for me. Why is it so hard for me to have boundaries, to say no? And I think one of the things that we talk about is the cost of being a yes girl, because every time you say yes to someone else, you're actually saying no to yourself. And that's a huge cost, particularly cumulatively over our careers.
Yeah, when we think about the how-to, notice what's going on with yourself, build your awareness. Notice the environments, the context where it feels easy to say no. Notice the environments and contexts where it feels almost impossible to say no, right? There's clues in the resistance. And it's those clues that when we give ourselves permission and space, I'm going to say, because when we're running and we're busy and there's 1,000 things to do, these things are not going to be top of mind for us to dig into. But your ability to slow down, to spotlight some of what's going on, to be courageous enough to take, small acts of confidence in low stakes, safe environments, to test and learn, to reframe a lot of the stories we're telling ourselves around these environments. I think there's so much value. I was on a panel a couple of weeks ago, and one of my co-panelists was just saying, she gets asked the question around how do I manage time? And our response to that is get clear about what's important. Right? When you are clear about what's important, you know what you need to say yes to, and then by default, we say no to everything else, right? And it's often the clarity that gives us the courage to be willing to say no to things that are not most important right now.
So team, we're going to leave it there. If this topic has resonated for you and you'd like to share it with colleagues or friends, please do so. You can like the page and you'll get regular updates about these Facebook Lives. And if you'd like to go deeper on your relationship with core confidence, you can go to our website, coreconfidence.com.au.